Hi, now we're going to look at some examples of food webs and see how they're just simply a group of food chains put together. Because sometimes not everybody's going to have the same thing every day. I know that certainly I don't, because it gets boring, right? So there's variations within the ecosystem. So if we look at um, our little definition here. Oh, I need to make this larger. Um, we have food webs are a network of interconnecting food chains in a natural community of different organisms. Okay, so it's a network of interconnecting food chains, right? Like we've done our food chains in a natural community of different organisms. So animals don't eat, maybe they don't eat the exact same thing every day. Maybe they're like, hey, I'd rather have a hot dog today. Um, Not that that would be possible. Oh, you never know. Alrighty. So here are some examples we're going to work with. Um, First, we have this food. This over now a little bit. We have this food web. And within this food web, we can see we have our producers at the bottom, and then we have our primary consumers because that's who eats the producers, and then we have our secondary consumers, and they eat the primary consumers, and then I have my tertiary consumers at the top, and they're carnivores, so they're going to eat meat. Okay, so um, why isn't this getting bigger? Sorry. If we look here, we're going to give two examples of food chains. So if I look at this food chain here, this food web, what would be a food chain that I could identify in here? So I can see this one. I go from my producers, my grass. My rabbit eats my grass, is getting energy from it. And then my fox is eating my rabbit, so the fox gets energy from the rabbit. So remember, the arrows are pointing to where that energy is going. Okay, and another one is going to be here. So here I have my producers. My producers still my grass, and then I go up to my grasshopper, right? And then this bird here eats the grasshopper. So he's getting energy. So the arrow's going to the bird because he's getting energy from that grasshopper. And same up here with the bird to the snake. And it even goes up to the hawk. So I could have the grasses, the grasshopper, the bird, the snake, and then the hawk. So that would all be in that line. All right. Oh, wait, hold on. I got to go the other way. Okay. So over here, I'm sorry I have to keep going back and forth. I know it's ridiculous. What are the two animals that both eat the mouse? So here's my mouse, and there's actually three organisms that eat the mouse. So what do you think? What organisms eat the mouse? So since I said two, here are two, the fox, because I can see arrows going from the mouse to the fox, also from the mouse to the hawk, and there is a third one, and that is from the mouse to the owl. So the owl gets energy from the mouse. What would happen to the above mentioned? okay, these two animals, right? If the mouse was no longer in the ecosystem. So if this guy was no longer here, what would happen to these guys up here? Well, we see that with the fox, he has two food sources. He has the rabbit and then the mouse. Well, the mouse isn't there anymore. So since he's lost a food source, his numbers are going to start to decline because he's not going to have as many resources for food as he could. So his numbers would decrease. So we would say the number of foxes would decrease because he's lost a food source. Also with the hawk, his numbers will decrease because the mouse is gone, but he's also eating the rabbit and the snake. So you can see even with the fox and the hawk, they are both competing for the rabbit. So their numbers will go down because he's lost a food source. Okay, what would happen to the ecosystem if the hawk was removed? So if this guy at the top was removed, what would happen? So what we need to look for is the arrows that are pointing to it, right? So here, this arrow is pointing to it, and this is the rabbit. This arrow is pointing to it, and this is the mouse. And this arrow is pointing to it, and that is the snake. So if the hawk was gone, their numbers are going to increase, right? Because they don't have as many predators after them. So for instance, the numbers of rabbits would increase because one of the predators are gone that eats it. So now his only predator is the fox. Here the mouse would increase because, well, he still has the fox and the owl after him, but he's lost the hawk. I mean, that's huge. And the number of snakes would increase because this is its only predator is the hawk. So we have lots of changes if that happens. Okay, what would happen to the ecosystem if the rabbit was removed? So if we lost the rabbit, what we're looking for is who gets energy from the rabbit and where does the rabbit get its energy from. So we have an arrow from the grasses pointed to the rabbit. If there's no rabbit there, those grasses are going to increase because it only has the mouse and the grasshopper eating it, but the rabbit's kind of bigger, right? So he would eat more. So since it's gone, the grasses are going to increase. Now we're going to look at what eats the rabbit, and that's going to be the fox and the hawk. Well, if the rabbit's gone, the fox has lost a major food source. And, you know, rabbits are much larger than mice. So he's kind of hating it if there's no rabbits because he's going to have to hunt twice as hard to get more mice than he did for rabbits, right? And same with the hawk. The hawk, that was one of its food sources. And again, the mouse is too, but it's harder for these big guys to find these little mice that go into little sections. And then, but he still has the food source of the snake. So you can see how losing one affects the whole ecosystem. And that's it. So I hope you understood that. If you don't, please go over it again so you can kind of review and have a great day. Thank you.